Besides hope and heart, Singapore must always be our best home. A place where we feel that we belong, where we show our loyalty to our country, where we take pride in what we've achieved together and what we stand for. A home we love, which is a theme for this year's NDP. Families are a big part of what home means, because families are central to our sense of who we are. You're not the job you do, but you're papa or mama or daughter or granddaughter or cousins. These are the links which are the closest. Families give us the reason to defend and protect what we have. And when we say set up home, we mean settle down, have kids, bring up a family. And therefore, Singapore has to be a home where people want to get married, want to have children, want to bring up the next generation. But alas, we are having too few babies. I show you the TFR chart. This is replacement level, 2.1 total fertility rate, which means every woman produces 2.1 kids, replaces herself, her husband, and a little bit to spare. But if you look at what we actually have been able to do from 1975 onwards, we started off there, around 2.1, but the trend has been steadily down ever since, coming down to about 1.2 last year, and all the way down. There are ups and downs from year to year. The red years are 12 years apart. 76, 88, 00, and 12. But I cannot imagine the 12 being here. And therefore, we have a problem. The long-term trend is down, but we cannot give up. We've got to do something about it. And when people ask me, which many visitors do, what problems do you have in Singapore? I offer them this one as an example of one not easy to solve. And they give me their ideas, sometimes serious, sometimes not. One Asian politician said, "Why don't you have more blackouts?" He has blackouts, he has high TFR, doesn't mean I have blackouts, I will have high TFR. It's not so simple. More Singaporeans remain single or they're getting married earlier. Part of the reason is that we're working too long hours. And I'm saying this quite seriously. I think being connected 24/7 is marvelous, but having email round the clock is not an entirely good thing. Married couples are having fewer children. On average now, each married woman has 2 kids. Previously it was more, so this number has also been coming down. So they are replacing mom and dad, but they're not making up for those who are not marrying and having children. And 20-30+ % now are not marrying, not having children. So we have a problem. Many Singaporeans have explained their considerations and their concerns, when to get married, when to have kids. And I talked to some of them. Recently I talked to one young lady, a teacher. She has 4 kids, young ones, from the age 14 to the age of 1. And she's gone back to work as a teacher. And she appreciates the schemes we have for working mothers, paid maternity leave, flexi work arrangements, and so on. But she says, but if I took all these schemes, then I'm pushing my load onto my colleagues, other teachers, and furthermore, when it comes assessment time, my head of department and my principal will not know what grade to give me. So even if you give me more of these leaves and perks, it will not help me with my career, which was important to her. So I asked her, what is the one thing that would encourage Singaporeans to have children? And she said, work-life balance. But then she added, but that is not in your power to give. She understands. We want work-life balance. We encourage people to have work-life balance. But finally, it's the attitudes of the employers, it's the attitudes of the individuals who are pursuing their careers. It's a social norm. Everybody is working, so I feel I have to work long hours too. And so we are stuck in that position. I talked to another young couple. They are volunteers in my branch. And when I have MPS, the husband is there till past midnight. They're newly married, moved into an HDB flat in Sengkang, not ready for children yet, even though the flat has already arrived. So I asked them, what are your considerations? I want to understand how you see these choices before you. What would help? The husband said, you should make childcare more accessible. You should offer more flexible work arrangements. The wife had a slightly different take, also very sensible, and she said, I don't want 6 months maternity leave, my boss may forget about me. But if you can have paternity leave, and fathers can help to bring up the children, that would be helpful. So these are sensible views of young Singaporeans, and I'm sure they're shared by many other couples. So what more can we do? NPTV is studying this very carefully as part of the population issue. We are consulting widely, and we'll work out a package which we hope will be ready by the time our white paper is published around January. But meanwhile, tonight I'll just share with you some broad ideas which take in some of the views which we've received so far. And the idea is to address the issues which make a difference to the couples, either substantively or to point a signal that this is something which is important. Please think about it and please try to change our mindsets and our norms and behaviors. So first, work-life balance. I think we need to do more to promote flexible work arrangements, and we can help employers to go in this direction. We also have to improve work culture and employer attitudes so that you have certain new norms which are set. And maybe we should take seriously the idea of having 1 day a week when you close shop at 6 o'clock, and if you're seen in the office after that, that's a minus for promotion purposes. Housing. In other countries, you get married, you have kids, then eventually you save up, you buy a house. In Singapore, it's the other way around. House first, then you think about marriage, then you think about kids. I think now that housing is off the boil and we have built more flats, many more flats in the pipeline, I think that we should give some consideration to giving couples with young kids priority when they book HDB flats. Firstly, it will solve their problem faster. Secondly, it may encourage them to have a kid so that the flat will come faster. Thirdly, at birth, this question of leave. I think maternity leave at 16 weeks is about all right. You can make it longer, but employers have serious worries and we should take them seriously. And I think employees have worries too. But this idea of paternity leave in some form, either you give some to the husband or you make some of the maternity leave convertible. We've said no for a very long time, but I think it's time we change. To signal the importance of the father's role and your shared responsibility for raising the children. So please use the paternity leave for the purpose it is given. Thirdly, medical. One of the worries which couples have when they bring up a kid is what something is wrong and the medical expenses, how are we going to meet that? So one idea is we create a MediSave account for each kid when it's born, when he or she is born. And we put a small hong pao in for him to start life. And it can defray the childhood medical expenses and reassure the parents, no need to worry. and that part is seen too. Another thing we can do is preschool. I talked earlier about the steps we are going to do to raise standards, to make it affordable, to put a lot more resources in. I think that will be helpful. But other than preschool, there's also childcare and infant care. And we should give more financial support to low and middle income households for childcare and infant care. And as for the places where these are going to go, we need some in the housing estates near homes. I think we need some near workplaces, and we should help the operators who set up the centers in the housing estates or near the workplaces. And I hope that if one comes to a block of flats near you, you will welcome it even if you no longer have young children. Finally, we can always improve. The baby bonus is always welcome. We can look at that, but I don't think money is the point. It's ultimately not about money, it's about values, about deep motivations. Singaporeans will marry and have children because of the fulfillment that having a family brings. And the measures, as I said, are to address the practical problems and to point the direction, to signal the changes we would like to see in the mindsets. Beyond this specific packages, we need to create the right environment, the right social environment, the right ethos, so that Singaporeans want to settle down and have kids, and strengthen that sense that this is home, here is where we want to raise our families. Besides families, memories of places, of old friends, of events you've lived through, are also essential to keeping Singapore our best home. It's often the simple things in life which remind us most of home. I was reminded of this recently when I got another email from the public, a young lady called Thekla Loh, who wrote to me to wish me Happy National Day. And she shared with me something which she had written, which I liked and I would like to share with you too. I quote a little bit of what she wrote. She said, "It's the simple things that I love about my country, like waking up on a Saturday morning, feeling the chill in the morning air, deciding to go downstairs to have a warm bowl of duck porridge instead of the usual cold cereal, having freshly fried piping hot yo cha kueh with ice-cold soya milk on a whim." Mouth watering already. "Having an elderly lady in a wheelchair pull up beside me, mistaking me for one of her kopi kakis and discussing the weather with me in Hokkien. Watching the Indonesian maid speak fluent Hokkien to her elderly, wheelchair-bound employer and showing genuine concern and care for the old lady. Reminding me of my grandmother and her Indonesian helper, whom I'm truly grateful for helping to take care of the needs of my grandmother in her last years." So it's the family, an extended family, and even the Indonesian maid is part of this extended family. Thekla remembers Singapore by the food, the people, most importantly, by the family. And so too with all of us and with me. Home, the house where you grew up, the family you grew up with, the times when you were young. And this picture, which I discovered recently and had not seen before, taken in May 1965, has all of that. 38 Oxley Road, parents, siblings, and also the dog. But over the years, more links form, more memories accumulate. So to me, home means other things as well. Memories of places you've known over the years, for many years, which have changed. And when you see it, it's like playing a video replay. You scroll back in your mind's eye and you imagine it as it used to be. Nanyang Primary School. Today, handsome new buildings, young generation of excited students. When I went to kindergarten, this is what it looked like. And this is what I still imagine it to be. And here's the old school hall, the Li Tang. and our kindergarten was inside there. No computers, no complicated play equipment, just one class in each corner, cordoned off, and one piano. That was then. I drive down Orchard Road, swank shopping places, strange new buildings. This is Orchard Central. I think back to the old Orchard Road car park. The younger generation may not know, but once upon a time, this was where the best hawker food in town was to be found. The old walk has never been better. You go down Bras Basah Road, today SMU. Beautiful, gracious buildings, trees, students there, maybe with boyfriends and girlfriends studying, reflecting pools, modern Singapore. But I think back when I was a student, the SJI school field. I wasn't SJI, but Catholic High next door had no school field, so we borrowed this one. Sports day, band, marching, practicing, this is where we went. These were the haunts where we grew up. Marina Bay, today a special skyline, recognized the world over. But when I see it, I wind back to this. It wasn't even land, it was sea. Collier Quay, and you go out. I used to take a boat and go out, and we go past this long, you see this thing here? It was a breakwater. If you're old enough, you will remember. And you go past the breakwater, which protected the harbor out to Southern Island, St. John's Island, where I would go with my parents. My father was visiting political detainees. That's then. And today it's become an icon like this. And it's not complete, because we will continue to build and improve, and in 5-10 years' time, you'll have something even better. So places add another layer of home. People are part of home. You meet old friends, old comrades, people you served with in the SAF. Happens to me not infrequently. Served together years ago, and you come across them, and it's always heartwarming when they say to you, "Evening, sir, I'm your soldier, we served together." And recently it happened to me. I was going around the tables at an iftar in Tek Gee, and the Malay gentleman stood up and said, "Hello, I'm Omar." And I looked at him, and my mind went back 40 years. 1975, Taman Jurong Camp, Corporal Omar, my vehicle electrician. 40 years had passed. He's happy, he's well, he's here. We rejoiced. We were both so happy, I took this picture of us together on the iPhone. His son is now a cardiologist, so his story is like Mr. Topi Singh's. When you're overseas, you get a warm feeling when citizens greet you. People come up and say, "Hello, Mr. Lee, I'm from Singapore too." Happened to me recently. I and my wife were on holiday in Dalat, Vietnam, last December. We were quietly having breakfast in the restaurant. Two young ladies came over to ask me to take a picture with them. So we did. And she said, "Well, I'm from Tek Gee Primary School. I'm one of the teachers there." You can see my breakfast is still here. I came out from breakfast. There was a group of Singaporeans there. "Li 先生拍照，我们是红帽桥来的." They are proud to be Singaporean. Sorry, it says, "Please, Mr. Lee, take a picture. We are from Ang Mo Kio too. Extended family on a trip." They are proud to be Singaporean, and they make me feel proud to be Singaporean. Events are part of home. You remember, I remember 9th of August, 1965, when it happened, 1966, our first parade. Nothing to march with except some national flags and colored flags. And then more variety, more equipment, helicopters, the national anthem, and you especially remember the moments when the flag flies past and you sing Majulah Singapura. The helicopter changes from a UH-1H, it went to the Super Puma, and now we have a Chinook. We're now on a floating platform. But when you sing Majulah Singapura, the pride and the emotion are the same. So all of us have our own memories and stories to tell, and therefore the Singapore Memories Project, 300,000 so far, still collecting. I've shared many people's memories today. Topi Singh and his family, giving his children the education he himself never had. Chung Win Ki, discovering a whole new world online and improving his chicken rice recipe along the way. Madam Chang Ka Fong, 87 years young, still playing basketball daily. Iskandar Jalil, creating beautiful pottery displayed all over the world. I've also shared with you about younger ones, their lives ahead of them, who will write the next chapter of our story and build their own treasure house of memories. Joshua Chu and the Extractor X team, making new breakthroughs to transform our lives. Jauhari and Adil Hakim, inspiring young Singaporeans to do their best. Praveen and his teachers, preparing for a brave new world. Tekla, discovering new things to love about Singapore. Alfred and Natalie, graduating from UNISIM, raising Hsien to be a proud and patriotic Singaporean. These memories come together to define the Singapore story for all of us. Individually, these are our life experiences. Collectively, these bind together to become the soul of the nation. We must cherish them and build upon them. In our shared future, the world may be completely different. Our lives may be quite transformed, but our drive to keep the Singapore story vital and fresh for all of us must never falter. Let's work together to create a better Singapore, where we look to our shared future with confidence and hope, where we treat one another and others too with a big heart, where we build for our children and grandchildren our best home. Good night.